Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I very strongly support the entire package. Very happy to see that we're moving ahead with the authorization bill, and want to say a few words in particular about my bill, the Saudi Arabia Human Rights and Accountability Act. I'm very grateful to you for bringing this forward. I am particularly grateful to Ranking Member McCall for working with us. The result of our common effort is a strong bipartisan statement that it matters to us, it matters to the United States how our partners treat their people, that we do not exempt Saudi Arabia from that principle simply because we have a long-standing security relationship, and in particular that we must see accountability for the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. I've spent much of my career thinking about how the United States can most effectively advance our commitment to human rights and democracy around the world. It is not always easy. I always acknowledge this is not our only interest in the world. But the Khashoggi case is not just about human rights in Saudi Arabia. What happened to Jamal Khashoggi didn't happen in Saudi Arabia. Khashoggi was a resident of the United States. He had every reason to believe that he was safe here. He was lured to a Saudi embassy and brutally murdered on the soil of a NATO ally. What happened to Jamal Khashoggi is not common. Human rights abuses around the world are common, but what happened to him is not common. Few dictatorships are brazen enough to reach out beyond their borders to kill their critics living overseas. Russia did it recently when it poisoned two of its critics living in the United Kingdom. Iran has reportedly done it several times in recent years, and now we add Saudi Arabia to the list. And it's important for us to remember that despite all of the controversy and anger following the case of Mr. Khashoggi, the Saudis do not appear to have gotten the message. Our intelligence community, since the killing of Khashoggi, has had to warn 3 individuals living overseas, and including an American citizen living in the United States, of threats from the Saudi government. So we cannot allow this to become the norm in international relations. We have to remember there are thousands of Jamal Khashoggis living in the United States today, in every part of our country. They come to us from China, from Russia, from Cuba, from Iran, from dictatorships around the world, and here they speak out, they write about what goes on in their countries. They should feel safe. So what this amendment does is it requires the State Department to do what it has said is the administration's policy, and that is to hold accountable everybody who is responsible for this brutal crime. It requires the Director of National Intelligence to name the perpetrators, and it imposes visa sanctions on those individuals. It says to the Saudi government that they can have a close and enduring relationship with the United States, but they cannot take advantage of that relationship to get away with murder. And it says something else to the world that's very important right now, particularly given the standoff that we are engaged in with Iran, that our concerns about human rights abuses in that country, our concerns about other violations of international law by the regime in Iran are not about the United States blindly taking sides with our Gulf allies. They are about America standing up for principles that we apply equally to everybody. Thank you, and I yield back my time.